Hello there, Lester Yanovich here for another edition of Wednesday's Wonder. Today's wonder occurred just a couple of days ago when I once again was at one of the local watering holes and sat down to have a chat with a very nice fellow. And after we had chatted for a while, I must say that he said to me that his wife was, in fact, going through menopause. Yes. Oh my God, the moment that word was spoken out loud, the entire tavern erupted in roars, moans, and groans, and only to be followed by absolute silence, as we all gave a moment of silence for this poor fellow's plight. However, after saying that, I started thinking because it made me wonder. We all know that it's common knowledge that menopause has a certain effect on women. I mean, there's certainly some discomfort and perhaps some inconvenience for a woman, but very little is said, and quite honestly, not even whispered, about how does menopause actually affect the man. So today's wonder is, I wonder what is the best way for a man to deal with a woman in menopause. If you'll give me just a few minutes, I'll be right back and we'll explore this for just a little bit. Hold on. Well, I'm back, and let's continue our discussion, and I'll go on about the little chat I had with my new friend at the local watering hole. I thought it best for me to educate this fellow just a little bit so that he knew exactly what he was doing. So I thought, well, let me give you some realistic understanding about what's going on with your wife during menopause. And I said to him, you see, menopause is a scientific phenomenon of sort. It's just a hormonal hurricane or of such, or an invasion, hormonal hurricane or invasion of sort that results in various changes. They even refer to it as just change. But menopause itself, the pure definition of that is men, i.e. man, well, your life as you have known it, well, that's going to be on pause for the next few years. And the only thing you can do is find a way to adapt and hopefully survive throughout that time. I've heard people on the other side, and it is possible, by the way. So I said, in the spirit of time, what are the three most concerns that you have about your wife going through this little syndrome that she's got going? And he said, well, of course, the first thing is what I refer to as the loss of sexual desire. He described it as, he said, well, look here, my chap. Men like to measure things. So he said, you know, when we first got married and we were together alone, well, sex was like this. And then the kids came along, and lo and behold, sex was more like this. It was just on occasion and such. But now, in the last few months, sex is more like this. I said, oh, yes, so pretty much about as often as what they call the blue moon. And that time in between, well, as the great song says, well, that's the bad moon horizon, so to speak. And I said to him, well, again, you have to adapt. So let's adapt by first being positive and then strategic. So on the one hand, being positive, when you do get a little bit of this, you are going to appreciate it more than you've appreciated anything in your entire life. While after this, you'll be running about the house squealing louder than a freed pig in a slaughterhouse. Woo, whoopee woo. Oh, you're going to love it every time you do experience just a little bit of that. And then on the other hand, thinking strategically, I would say, well, this hand, it might become your best friend for the next few years, so take care of it and appreciate it as long as it takes. And what is your next concern, I said to him. And he looked at me directly in the eye and he said, well, my wife's getting fat. Oh my God, there was a thunderous roar in the bar again. Moans and groans all about it. And I said, look here, cowboy, we don't ride that horse and we don't ever say that word out loud. My God, if your wife heard you say that, or if she even thought you thought it, then, well, this will immediately go to that. And you'll never get this again just by saying one little word. So let's not be mentioning that word once again. I said, look here, let me explain something to you. Let's talk anatomically about what's going on with your lovely wife. I said, for example, this is your wife premenopausal. This is the hormones outside of her body. However, during menopause, those hormones invade the body. And hormones of such, they like to gather together. They like to have what they call hormonal conventions. And they like to have those in the areas of least resistance. Well, unfortunately, the areas of least resistance are the curves. That's correct. So what you get after menopause is this. So you've got to learn to live with this, but more importantly, you've got to survive living with this. And the best way to do that is to keep in mind you keep your mouth shut at all times when it comes to that slight little weight gain, as they call it. And because every morning she's going to go to the mirror and she's going to look in the mirror and she's going to go, oh, I'm fat. Oh, don't you repeat anything at that point. And then she's going to get sad, and this is going to go to this. So once again, you keep your mouth shut. And the only thing I found that worked in this scenario is that at night when my wife was sleeping, I would sneak into her closet and take a few of her clothes. The next day, I would go to the local tailor and I would say, would you take these out, say 2 sizes? I would replenish those clothes in her closet. She would wake up the next morning, oh, I'm feeling fat, blah. But then she'd go to the closet and put on her clothes and say, oh, my clothes are loose. I must not be fat. I must be actually losing weight. So then again, this goes to that. Who wins in that scenario? Give it a try. Worth a shot. That's all I can say now. What is your next concern, your last concern? I gave you 3. And he said to me, well, she's becoming quite moody. Oh, really? Who would have suspected that? She's becoming quite moody, you say. Well, I thought to myself, and I even said it out loud. I said, you know, I'd give my right thumb to the fella that could invent a mood ring that'd keep up with all those mood changes. I thought, my God, that thing would be flashing more than, let's say, the scene at a holdup at a local donut shop. Just, excuse me, I go on, but you have to remember this too. Out of all of those moods, you, my friend, have a target on your forehead, and they're most likely going to be directed right at you unless you find a way to deflect them. That's right. Take it from here and go to there. You've got to learn to deflect those moods except in one occasion. That's the 2 or 3 minutes a month where she's actually happy. Then you put that right there and you take absolute credit for whatever's going on, and don't say a word, because whenever you say something, that is going to change and it's going to be there again. So another mood you're going to experience frequently is she's going to be sad. Yep, out of nowhere, you'll just say something, you'll compliment her. Oh, dinner's nice. Oh, she'll get sad and she'll cry. The best thing for that is empathy. Yes, empathy. Take it from here, move it over here with empathy. And the only way you can do that is go to her and give yourself a moment and think just how miserable is this making you feel? And with that, you'll start crying too, and you'll cry along with her, and that'll make her feel better. Well, the other emotion is that of anger. That's the one you'll see most often. And there's not a whole lot of solution to anger, but one is, if you're not a religious person, I suggest you might want to reconsider that, because within this period, frequently, often, and in a very intense way, you are going to be looking directly into the eyes of the daughter of Satan. So you have to find a way to move those eyes to somewhere else, to take those Satan eyes and move them in this direction. Now, if you have children, it's perfectly fine and appropriate to sacrifice them. Sacrifice one or sacrifice all of them. Whatever you have to do, when she's angry at you, you say something to get her pissed off at the children, the kids. They're there, sacrifice them. The other thing you can do, if she works, well, just mention her boss. He's an asshole, so mention her boss. And if all things else fail, I'm going to give you this, and don't tell everybody because I don't want the secret to get out. I call it the nuclear option. When nothing else works and that anger is directed right at you, what you do is you stand up and you say, I'm angry too. Oh, you'll get the look, but oh, I'm angry because I saw your best friend this morning at the local market. That's right. And she suggested to me that she thinks you're getting fat. Oh my God. Oh, all on the best friend. Well, God bless her soul. Somebody's got to go. Don't let it be you. That's my only thing I can tell you. So in conclusion, with menopause, I do suggest during this time that you take up a hobby of sort. Mine, for example, is I put a bunch of sticks together and built myself a very nice bar. I just stay drunk all the time. And the good news about menopause is, well, it doesn't last forever. But the bad news is, by the time it ends, you'll either be dead from excessive alcohol consumption or you'll just be too tired and old to get it up anymore. And there again, I think that's proof that there's God and he has a sense of humor. But let's face it, we are the ones that ate the forbidden fruit, so I guess payback's a bitch, and we're just going to have to learn to live with that. So with that, I'll let you go until next Wednesday. For next week's Wednesday Wonder, I wonder what that'll be.